I'm Tiffany, and this is The Balanced Life, Redefine Success, Redefine Fail. I am so happy to have you here with me today. I am going to be talking about why I am always telling you to write things down. My kids, this makes them crazy, especially my youngest, who is 19, and she has grown up her whole life in the technology age, thumb typing on the computer, barely ever writing anything, even though I homeschooled her until she was in the 7th grade, and I had her writing things out for the reasons I'm going to outline. Once she got into school, that was no longer required. Once she went into a school building, that was no longer required of her, and there are very real scientific reasons for doing this. So let me jump right in and tell you what those are. So first of all, there was a study done. I will link the article in the description talking about this study, about the connection between your hand and your brain. When you use an ink pen and actually write things out, whether it's words, whether you're drawing a picture, whether you're creating some kind of a diagram, even if you're writing on some kind of a computer board, it doesn't have to be the actual physical paper. You are actually making connections in your brain, and it helps you to remember things better. There is a direct hand-brain connection that's made. And so the act of writing something down helps you to remember it and build those pathways. Second of all, when we type, think about how mindlessly we type. We sit there all day long going like this, just moving our fingers around. When you have to slow down and think and focus, you can't just hit the backspace thing. You have to think, what do I really want to write? You have to scratch. You have to erase. You have to rewrite. It causes you to slow down and think and focus. And when you are thinking about important things like future goals, your financial future, what you're frustrated about, when you're trying to work through things that are difficult for you, maybe you're journaling, and you're trying to write down some of your thoughts and feelings about things, slowing down and the act of writing these things will force you to really reflect on what it is you want to say and what you really think and feel. That's why journaling is so great. Blogs can be awesome, but again, they're typed. Taking the time to actually write this down and add your own spin. I have my own shorthand. I draw little pictures. I take things down here. I circle it and connect it to something up there. Nobody can read a book after I've read it. Literally, when my husband and I read the same book, we have to buy 2 copies because I spend so much time jotting notes in the margins, underlining things, color coding things, because of what it does to help me to process it in my brain. It gives me a great deal of benefits. So much so my husband started writing in books. He wasn't a huge reader until around 2003, 2004. He started really reading a lot. And then he went back to school for his bachelor's and then master's degree. So he did a lot of reading and writing then. But he found himself the act of writing things out when he was studying in his nursing program, the act of getting a board and writing and drawing the processes of, neuron pathways and kidney stuff and potassium cycles or whatever. I don't remember. I've seen the boards outside. But then he would draw them and he would cover up portions and then recreate it in his mind. The same thing is possible when you're trying to figure through, how do I pay this bill? How do I best use my money? I have X amount of dollars. What would this look like if I spent this or this? I'm a huge fan of Excel sheets because you can create equations that show you different simulations and potential outcomes. But I also like to write that stuff down on a piece of paper and really think through the real life implications of those things. It also will help you brainstorm solutions. So when you are writing down the things that I talk about, whether writing down a grocery list, whether writing down your debts, you're not spending time figuring out how to format it properly on a page, or how do I get this equation to show up right in Excel, or how does this work? How do I tab over to this column in Word? You're not worrying about that. Or where's this button in here? I can't find the highlighter. You're simply focused on the information and you writing it down and you stick it on your piece of paper. I go through so much paper. All of these presentations, I outline on a piece of paper, and I'll have little arrows drawing sometimes. I jot things down. I take notes when I'm talking to you on the video and write down things that I'm going to put next time. But the main reason is because of that research that I read and the correlation between your hand and your brain and how it helps you to learn new information, but also process the information. It actually makes you more efficient. You think you're saving time by typing it or voice to text? Great. If you're going to voice to text because you're running errands with the kids and that's an easy way to get it, to send it to yourself by email. But then when you get home, look at that and write it down on a piece of paper in a notebook and go through and, okay, so what does this mean? What's the impact? What's the implication? What's the plan? What do I want to do here? And getting yourself a multi-subject notebook even, you know, putting down in the front the things you're trying to do. And then maybe you have the next section is things you want to research for streams of revenue. Another section is things you want to research for cost savings. That's the kind of stuff that I'm going to be talking about in another video. But I spent time today trying to determine whether it made sense for us to either get solar panels put on our house. We live in the Great Lakes region, so it's, you know, pretty gross in the winter up here. Whether having a little windmill thing, because we have like this where the windmill used to be, and do I want to get the equipment to create wind power? Not those giant things you see, but just my pretty little windmill to create some battery power for backup for things outside and possibly part of the house, I don't know. Or doing geothermal hybrid systems. So that would be ways to save money. And I would put that in one section of the notebook. Ways to earn money would be creating assets, investing, side jobs, side gigs, consultations, editing books, writing courses. That would be in that section. And then like my plan for how to use it would be in another section. So I can just flip between these sections and I don't have to go try to find my computer and look this thing up and do this thing over here. Now, if I'm trying to share information, like when my husband was in school a few years back, we had a Google Doc where we would, it said family grocery list. And if somebody saw we were out of something, we added it. And then if somebody was at the grocery, we would buy the things on there. It was really great because when my teenage daughter would get home from school, if she came home and she realized, oh, wait, we're out of milk, she would put it on the list. When my husband was coming home, he would go past the grocery. He would check it before he left, and he would grab those things when he was out. So that was a really efficient way to do things. But when you're thinking about long-term stuff, it's not always the best to have a shared document or something on your computer, things like that. Research on the brain shows that the best thing is to actually write it down. So that is why I tell you on every single thing, write this down. And I would encourage you to get notebooks, get organized, get binders. I have so many 3-ring binders. I'm like an addict. I have an office supply addiction. But you can see right here, I live what I preach. This is my notebook where I've got a bunch of things. These are my outlines. These are some of the topics I'm going to be covering. This is where I keep track of have I posted them yet and things like that. So I try not to duplicate too much. And then I also take my notes and my outlines when I'm done and I move them to another section in case I want to expand on them later. But the reason I do that, again, is because there is research that indicates this helps your brain. So let's do things that are smart and help our brain when we're trying to get our family get ahead. That is why I tell you to write everything down. So hopefully you'll trust me and you'll go ahead and write those things down and start letting your brain work with you to solve problems. So I hope you got something out of this. If you'd like to share some of your comments, information, or other ideas, again, the article will be linked in the description below, and I will see you on the next video. Bye.